Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Vlogmas Day 8. I thought that we could do the workout together this morning. It is bench press day, upper body push day, which is my favorite day. Here's the thing. I usually pre-plan my workouts for the week, and I totally forgot to do that yesterday, my last workout was Thursday morning. I've had 3 days to do it and totally forgot. So I put what my plan is on the whiteboard, and then I write on that day what I actually did. I use my Garmin, so you can do a Garmin workout plan, and it tells you, when your rest time is over and what workouts to do next. Use their plan, but then I edit half the workouts to be what I want them to be. So we're gonna start with 5-minute cardio. I just walk on the treadmill at a generous speed for 5 minutes. Now we stretch. So before I work out, I usually have a banana or something, but I went to bed so full. I ate so much last night, snack-wise. So I just had a spoonful of honey right when I got out of bed. Now I'm gonna be extra hungry when I'm done working out. I also thought I had beef in the freezer that I could take out for dinner tonight, and I don't. So I'm gonna have to figure something out. Oh, this fridge might have something in it. Yes, I've just taken out a bag of frozen salmon, rice, edamame, zucchini, salmon bowls. Great. And I was gonna go Christmas shopping today. It is pouring rain, and the place I want to go to is an outdoor mall. So I'm gonna not. It's at 40 mils, my friends were saying today. That's crazy. I usually also switch to my slippers because who cares, it's upper body day. Some push-ups. Just 10. And now we bench. I usually just start with the bar as a warm-up. I could probably go a little heavier, but I think it's good. Just to gauge how much energy I've woken up with and get my form right off the bat. So I'm gonna set that up. Oh, that's too high. Okay, I think I'm gonna do one set of 8 at 80 pounds. Last week I got to 85 pounds, but I had to lower it down to 6 reps because I can't quite lift that much. So I'm gonna start with 80, which means I have to use my drop plates or whatever they're called. The big boys are coming out. 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 80. And then in between sets, I am puzzling, doing Apple News, emoji game, quartiles, mini crossword, and main crossword. And I've usually done that before the end of my workout, which is really nice. I don't think I'm doing 85 today. What am I at? 80? Can I raise it 5 pounds? Yeah. It's fine. Next is barbell overhead press. I usually just use the bar, and I find it's a little too easy, so I'm gonna add 5 pounds to each side. So it's gonna be 45 pounds instead of 35. We have a 35-pound bar. It's a little lighter. And I'm on the crossword now. I'm gonna do that twice more. Next is tricep pushdowns. My goal for these is 3 sets of 12. Last week I did 2 sets of 12 and a set of 10. So I'm gonna keep the weight the same. Ow. I did 3 sets of 12. That's good, except for the last ones maybe were a little bit weak, but whatever. Now we do lateral raises, which should be the last of today, but I haven't done abs in a while, so I think I feel like it today. I'm making good time. It is, apparently I don't have the time on here, 6:45, so I'm going to add abs on. Lateral raise. Oh, that hurts already. I think for abs, I'm gonna start with hanging knee tucks. Everything online says on Garmin when you do abs, you should choose cardio. So let's try that. We'll do 3 sets of 10, and then I'll do some mat stuff probably. Zach just said, you haven't had your coffee, right? It's day 8. I feel like I have to guess. Also my camera cut out while I was working out this morning, but I did just do some ab stuff like crunches and Russian twists. Oh, hi. Mom sits on the ground and you say, yeah, I'm gonna come kiss her. There's one way to do it. Thanks. Now that we got the tree, it has become a bit of a scavenger hunt, or you said you put them in order? Oh, back there. Oh, it's the stroopwafels. I've been looking at these since day 1 thinking that they are stroopwafels, because what else would be in this shape? But it's very dense. Coasters. A candle. Okay, now I have other options. It might be food, because Kelso really wants it. A candle! Oh, citrus. He knows me. Oh, yeah, that's orange. You wanna smell it? It's like a little anteater. It smells very good, thank you. You wanna smell too, Riv? A candle. That smells like oranges, which is my favorite smell. Time for breakfast for Mom, not you. You already ate, don't get excited. I'm gonna have eggs, and we have turkey bacon and toast. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make some dippy eggs this morning. I am not doing anything very Christmassy today, so I thought that we could talk about my favorite books of the year. First, I need to find them all. Ready? This is actually way more than I pictured. I'm gonna make a coffee. There is a windstorm outside right now, so I thought I'm gonna make another coffee. I'm gonna get cozy. It is 4 p.m. I have just finished work for the day. Today has to be a sit down video because like I said, windstorm. The shopping that I wanted to do is outdoors. I'm not doing that. Can you hear that? I feel like our umbrella's gonna blow away. Let's go look. So let me tell you, after I'm done doing this and cook and eat dinner, I'm gonna be snuggling up and reading all night. I can tell you that for free. I'm thinking the second Crescent City book, House of Sky and Breath. I'm thinking I'm gonna pick that up because I wanted to the other day and I didn't. I want to. I think that's my next book. But first, let's talk about my 5-star books of the year. I am happy to report that there were 14 books so far. There could be more. There's still 3 weeks left, but 14 books so far, 1 at least each month. That's wonderful. I love that, especially because I went into 2025 saying to myself, I need to read more genres. I really just did fantasy and romance, some general fiction here and there, but I was like, I gotta branch out a little bit, was looking to be inspired by different things. So some of them still were fantasy and romance books, and I still read a lot of those this year, and I will continue to, but a few of my 5-star reads are from genres that I hadn't even really approached before this year. So I love that. And the first one, I don't own. I read it in January, and it is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. And I think I maybe read this for one of the Goodreads awards last year. Did it win a Goodreads Choice Award last year? I don't actually remember, but I think that's what I was doing in January, February of this year, reading all of 2024's Goodreads Choice Awards winners, and that I think was one of them. I remember I was reading it on the ferry to Vancouver Island with my family there, and they like wanted to play a game and they wanted to chat, and I was like, yeah, I want to catch up with all of you, but I also really want to read this book. So A Sorceress Comes to Call is a Grimm brother retelling. I think it's called like Goose Girl, the real story. It's just really eerie and creepy and magical realism, and the relationship between the mother and daughter is very Carrie, but creepier, I would say. Maybe not outright gory creepy, sometimes, but just creepier. And the characters were so fun to learn about, and the relationships were really fun. And I remember things happening that I didn't expect because I had no idea what to expect because it was unlike anything I've ever read before. I just really enjoyed it. And I'm really sad that it was a library book because I think I would have annotated the shit out of it. I definitely will buy it and reread it one day. It's still the only T. Kingfisher book that I've read, which I'm really confused why I did that, because as soon as I read that, I was like, okay, I gotta read the whole backlist, and I haven't added one book to that list, but I loved it. rest assured I will read more one day. That was my first 5-star read, and it is the only one that I don't own physically. I think I know myself, because a lot of the time I'll be like, oh, I want to get this book from the library, but I know I'm going to want to annotate it, so actually I'd rather buy it. Or, oh, it's $1.99 on Kindle, but I think I'm going to love this book, so I'm going to buy it. And that succeeded for the rest. For these 13 books, I chose right, because the common denominator here, I'll only hold up a few, is the tabs. These are all very annotated because I loved them so much. And by annotated, I don't mean I write things in my books. I just highlight lines that I like and want to come back to, and favorite quotes and moments that I loved or that made me cry or that made me laugh. And I try to make them go with the cover of the book. The next one was in February, and the tabs match the cover of the book. Very pink and purple sunset, sunrise. This is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. My sister chose this for our buddy read, which we just started doing. I think this was the first book we chose for it. And I was a little bit nervous going in because it's dual timeline, which is not my favorite thing to read about. If it's done really well, I like it. And this was done really well. Because I would say the modern timeline is actually rare. You don't come across it very often in this book. It's mostly about the letters that are being written from World War II era. And in the modern world, a descendant of the author of those letters is trying to write a novel based on this story. I believe the author of the letters is an author as well. The past parts, which is most of the book, are so addictive. There are so many twists and turns in this that I was not expecting, and I just sobbed. And I actually remember reading this so vividly because we were staying at an Airbnb with our friends, and I was reading early in the morning because I wake up very early, and I was sobbing, hoping that none of them would wake up yet, because I just could not stop crying at the end of this book. Anything that brings me to tears that much, that doesn't have anything clearly awful about it, is a 5-star book in my opinion. Because I was gonna say anything that brings me to tears like that is 5 stars, but that's not true, because sometimes I can cry but also be like, there's something really problematic here. I don't know why I'm thinking of one book in particular. We're gonna ignore that. Oh, I lied. There was one more on my Kindle that's a 5-star that I read in February, and it is The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren. And I'm surprised that this one was 5 stars as well, because it was a short story that I read on my Kindle because it was Valentine's Day, and I was like, oh, I need something fun and short to read for Valentine's Day. This is such a brief love story, and it starts with an accidental email that becomes pen pals. So these people keep writing to each other because there was like one letter wrong in the email address, and they become friends, and then they become lovers. And I was so surprised. I think it's like 40 something pages, and I fell in love with these characters. I'm still confused by it, and I still remember loving the characters so much. So there's not much to say about a short story, but super fun. So I actually suggest people read The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren. I've read a couple of those short stories from that pack, and that one is the best one by far in my opinion. I think it's just the characterization and the fact that I loved these characters immediately, which I think is very difficult to do in a very short amount of pages. So sometimes you can get to the 3rd or 4th book in a series and not like the characters to not feel attached to them. So to do it in a fraction of the time is kind of incredible. Then we come to March, to a book that I'm sure people are sick of hearing about, so I will be brief. Red Rising. This was a reread for me. I read the first 2 books when they were released over a decade ago, so I didn't remember much, but I remember loving these. I feel like the reason I love this first one specifically so much is because of the nostalgia I feel, and just like a group of kids killing each other, and that it's like sci-fi fantasy, and that's exactly what I read all throughout high school. That's really the only thing I read in high school was books like that. You know, it just felt very nostalgic. But then the next one was a month later in April, and it's my first 6-star book of the year, and it's the 3rd one from the Red Rising series. I think the second book disappointed me a little bit. I didn't dislike it. I think I rated it at like 4 stars. This is my first time reading this one. I had only read the first 2 before my reread. Obviously with a sequel, I can't say too much, but I will say this is another book that made me absolutely weep. I cried my eyes out reading this book. I rated it 6 stars immediately after I finished it. The characterization and the growth of the plot, and just like the twists and how things happened, and you never know who to trust when you're reading this book. I just loved this book. Then we get to May, where we have Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This is the 2nd book in the series. The 3rd book is on my TBR for this month, so I'm glad to be revisiting this, even if just for a second. This feels really skinny. Is this the smallest one? But Skylar is rich and famous, and she moves to Rose Hill, and she falls in love with Weston, and I think he's one of my favorite male main characters in a romance that I've read, and this is one of my favorite romance books of the year. I think people found it a little bit trite and fake, and I didn't feel that way at all. I think I've read a lot of romance this year and last year. This just takes the cake for what a romance book should be. In my opinion, I think the respect that these characters have for each other and the communication that they have is very important. Love a book where one person is famous, but I also felt very attached to Skylar's story of her childhood. Like, I felt so much for her, and it made me cry a few times, these things that she had to go through. I couldn't put it down. I think that's why I'm deciding to read the third book in one day, hopefully this coming weekend, because I think if it gives me similar vibes at all, I will just want to keep going. And I think what's been missing from a lot of small town romances that I've read lately is the friendships. They're sometimes there, but very like, here, we've added your friendship, get over it. But this one, the friendship between the girls in this book means a lot. I think it's so important in a small town romance to actually get it right and understand why these characters are confiding in each other, where in other books I'm like, why are you telling these people so much? You don't actually see them that often. You don't know much about them. But in this book, it's very believable. So that was a 5-star read, as they all were. I don't know why I said it like that. The next one was also in May, and it is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. I always want to say St. James. I don't remember why I chose to read this book. I just remember absolutely loving it immediately. I could not put it down. This is a sci-fi book that spans centuries, like way into the past, way into the future. Earth is kind of starting to go sideways and people have found new places to live, and there's time travel and there's twists and there's a lot of different character perspectives that you read from, but they all seem like they were written from different people, which I think is very important when you do multiple perspectives. Hi. I remember, oh my goodness, they're about to get loud. I'll give you a treat if you're quiet. I think it worked. This book has so many twists and turns that I remember reading it and be like, oh, I actually probably shouldn't talk about that, because it is a huge surprise. And all of the surprises make sense, but you're still like jaw-dropped moments. So I loved this book. I, again, would like to read more from this author and haven't. I'm not sure why. I think the writing is very approachable while still being intellectual. I don't know. It takes a lot of mind bending to read this book, but at the same time, you can't stop, and it's like your mind bends for you. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, let me settle these dogs and then good, settle. I need to sit up. My feet are asleep. I'm sitting on my bum. We are in June. There were 2 favorite books in June. The first of which was another surprise to me, because it is An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. And this is a surprise because I was going to DNF the series after reading the first 2 books, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because this book is amazing. The first books, I think I took a little bit of time to read. I didn't really want to pick them up. I wanted to be on my phone, but I still liked them. This book, I could not put it down. I absolutely loved this book. This is Benedict's book, so the TV show does go in a different order than the books do. So this is Benedict and Sophie is so wonderful. I'm a bit nervous for the TV show to come out. I'd never finished watching season 3 because I got halfway and I thought it was a little bit boring, and was like, you know what, I'll just read the book when I get to that number. Now I'm nervous for the TV show because if it's not identical to this, I don't think I'll like it. And I know that people have complained about that with the other 2, but they haven't been that off. They've been similar enough that I'm like, yeah, this TV show is doing a good job, but this one, I need to be exact. And Violet, I liked Mrs. Bridgerton in all of these books, but in this one, she really shines, and she is an iconic side character in this book. Hi. I don't know if I have a bad thing to say about this book, but I do about the first 2, so that's interesting. I haven't continued it. I think I should soon. Okay, also in June, we have our next 6-star read. Funny Story by Emily Henry. This didn't surprise me at all. I have liked everything by Emily Henry. There's a couple. People We Meet on Vacation is not my favorite book of all time. The rest of them are very good. I'm actually still trying to decide if this or Book Lovers is my favorite. I think this takes the cake simply because I find Daphne very relatable to me. This is crazy. I actually read this book and I said to my therapist, just if you're curious about who I am as a person and you like to read, which she does, but I was like, Daphne, I don't know that there's a moment in this book where she feels something that I haven't felt in my life. It was hard to read for that reason, and I know that I want to reread it one day, but I'm actually scared too because of that. So I'm curious if this is going to win my book, what's it called? When they battle each other? Bracket.
I'm thinking this is probably going to win my book bracket of the year. I only have 3 6-star reads. It has to be one of them, and it's probably going to be Funny Story. Not just because of Daphne being relatable, but also that the main character's roommates to friends to lovers is not something that I read very often or at all. It actually seems very rom-com-y, but in a very slow burn, approachable way. I don't know. I also loved her job as a librarian. I thought that that was fun. Okay, now we're in July, which my 5-star book of July was We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. This was another one that was me foraying into a different genre that I wasn't used to reading. I read a few mystery books before this one that I liked and didn't love, but because I watch Richard Osman on TV sometimes, on YouTube, I knew that I liked him as a person, that I liked his humor, so I was kind of excited to read this book, and I was right. This is the perfect mix of British humor, adult subject matter, and a murder mystery that is fun and enticing all at the same time. It's also fun because our main character is a bodyguard, and it is about her and her father-in-law. They are the main duo in this book, with the addition of a rich lady that she was bodyguarding. Yeah, they kind of go on the run and do all these fun things and have this adventure together, and I found it really, really fun. I am excited to read more of his books. They are just very expensive in Canada. I think I paid way too much for this book, so I'm not going to keep going with those yet, but I also don't want them to be library books because I enjoyed this so much. I would like to have a little Richard Osman shelf one day, I think. Like, honestly, his books go for like $40+ for soft cover. One day they will be affordable, but today is not that day. August, I had my third and final so far, maybe there will be more, 6-star read, and that is Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. And this also kind of surprised me because I liked Phantasma, but I didn't love it. So I didn't think I would go into this one loving it. I don't often finish a book and immediately think about when I want to reread it, and this one I've thought about since. Maybe this will have to win my book bracket. I don't know. I still don't know what I'm going to choose. So book 1 is about Scarlet, and this is about Scarlet's sister, Genevieve. And again, there's a game, but this game is way easier to follow than Phantasma was. It's also not like as devilly demony, but it is. It's just so much fun. There's still a house. They're locked in a house. There's found family. I love our main characters. I think that the end of this book was incredible. I love the relationship with one another. Like, me talking about this book is making me want to read it again. When does the third one come out? Because I still remember ending this one and being like, is that actually who the third one's going to be about? Because that would actually be a little bit crazy. Very unexpected. Oh, I love his whole family. It's like all of these siblings that live in a house and they have to fight to the death every year. I highly recommend. Obviously, you should read the first one first. I think you could read this one alone, but like the first one's not bad. It's just not 6-star good, but it's not bad. Okay, we're in the home stretch. 3 left. September, 5-star book, The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. Again, this is the third one in a series. I'm not going to go too deep into it because they all matter for this one. The reason the twists are so good is because I read all of them. I would actually say, contrary to what other people say, that this is a 4-star series for me, not a 5-star, but this book is 5-star. The way that it wraps up and that everything comes together and that the crew communicate with one another by this point and how many years it's been, and all of just like the puzzle pieces fitting together made this a 5-star book. I cried at the end, as I would hope to in the last book in a trilogy, you know? I know that there's more and then it branches off, the same as Red Rising, but the end of this book was so heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. And then October, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I had this in a reading vlog like less than 2 months ago at this point, so if you're curious, you can go watch that. But this was recommended to me by my niece. I asked her what her favorite book ever was, and she said this one. She did tie it with Powerless, but I chose to read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder because, like I said, I was trying to read more mystery. I really wanted to give this young adult vibe a go, and it's so funny because thinking about this, I just talked about the Selection series and that I think that books written for a younger audience can still be enjoyable by adults, and this is another prime example of that. I think that the writing is still very intellectual and it doesn't just go on vibes, and it has a plot and the pieces do come together and it makes sense at the end, but also you're still surprised by things. Anything where you're trying to have a plot twist, the plot twist has to make sense still, and in this one it does, and that was very important to me. I thanked my niece for introducing me to another good series that I will have to continue. And now we're on to my final 5-star book so far of the year, which is in my last video from before Vlogmas started, and that is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. You're following Luzia, and she lives in Spain during the Inquisition, and she has magic, and she is invited to the royal court to show this magic and join a bit of a competition. I have never read anything by Leigh Bardugo that I haven't enjoyed. I will say I am also in the minority here that Six of Crows duology is my least favorite thing I've ever read from her. Is that saying a lot? It took me like a month to read Six of Crows. I feel like I'm gonna get hunted for saying that. But The Familiar, on the other hand, I absolutely loved. But that was my last 5-star book of the year. For not having 2 of them physically and having the rest of them here is a pretty good feat, if you ask me. Last year when I did this, I had to do honorable mentions. I don't remember how many 5-star books I had, but it was not very many. And I read, I want to say like 70 books last year. Should I go see? I read 78 books last year. I had 5 5-star books last year. Now I'm at 14. If that's not growth and finding out what you love, I don't know what is. Last year I read when I felt like I needed to because people were reading it. Not what I wanted to because I wanted to, you know? So, yeah, they fell over. Now I'm gonna put them all away. Which I like watching people do. So I hope you do too. Oh. As seen this morning, I took some salmon out of the fridge. I forgot that I didn't use it yet because it's skin on. I bought it because they didn't have any skinless that day. And I regretted it immediately and then I haven't used it. But I made a bit of a curry paste, curry powder, Thai red curry, oil, and brown sugar and soy sauce. I think that's it. So I'm just gonna put it all over, stick it in the oven for like 8 minutes. We are just gonna have it with rice, edamame, spinach, because that's what we have in the fridge. Oh, I should have just done this on the tray. That was stupid of me. Not seen as Kelso sitting here begging for fish. I love an impromptu dinner that wasn't planned at all in any way, that actually works out. And that takes 10 minutes. Just fits. And that's grody. I'm a mess. There's shit everywhere. Okay. I washed all of my Christmas pajamas yesterday, so we get to start over. I only have 4, I was gonna say 4 sets. I have 4 pairs of pants and 3 of them are sets. That was still a weird way to say that. I think this one is my favorite. My gingerbread shorts. I've only read 3 pages of the book so far. I think it's gonna be difficult for me to get into, but that's all right. I'm gonna turn the fire on. I'm gonna sit in the chair by the Christmas tree. I'm so excited. That informed me that there was something wrong with my video yesterday, even though I rewatched it. So it must have been when I was exporting it. I'm not sure. Sorry about that little blank spot. It was cut out, me saying that I understand that there's a place in the world for love triangles, even though I hate them. So maybe it's good that that's the part that was, maybe that was the universe saying no. No more love triangles. I don't know. I don't want to wash my face yet, but if I do it, that's probably a good thing. Then I'm gonna do a leave-in oil, like a regular hair oil, not a scalp oil, and I'm gonna try the bonnet tonight. I just watched a TikTok saying that the younger generation doesn't wear tank tops under their sweaters. Please tell me if that's true. Oh, I just remembered that tomorrow is lower body. I'm gonna be doing that one alone. Maybe you'll see it next week. 1 workout a week feels good, right? I don't love filming at 5:30 in the morning, but sometimes it's interesting. That's what I like to watch. I'm trying to film what I enjoy watching. Don't always know what that is. Sometimes I do just watch people chat shit, so. I started House of Sky and Breath, and the prologue is long. Like, let me see how long. A 21-page prologue for a situation and a setting and people we've never met before, which I think is a little bit strange for a second book, but I don't know. At first I was like, these are not the characters' names. What's going on? I'm really confused. And now we're back with Bryce in chapter 1. Don't remember the first one enough to know if I say characters' names, if it would be spoilers. So I'm not going to, but I'm already reminded of the characters that I like and don't like, which is interesting, and the world is just a different place than it was in the first book, which is also interesting. So it's 9 p.m. I'm going to wash my face, put my hair in my bonnet, and then read maybe for another half an hour, and then go to sleep. So thank you for coming, and see you tomorrow.